Hello, my name is Kristi Waltke. I'm the elementary supervisor for Jefferson County Schools. In this video, I'm going to explain the third grade retention law. In Jefferson County Schools, we don't think that retention is the best option for most children. We are committed to finding the best pathway forward for every one of our third grade students. The new law requires that a third grade student determined not to be proficient in ELA on the TCAP test may not be promoted to the fourth grade without certain conditions being met. Students will take the TCAP test in April. Students will score in one of four areas. Below and approaching are the scores that are considered not proficient. If your child is not proficient on the TCAP test, there are some exemptions to the law. If a student has a disability that impacts reading or a suspected disability, that student is exempt from retention. If the student is an English language learner and has received less than 2 years of ELA instruction, that student is exempt from retention. Also, if a student has already been retained before, that student is exempt from having to repeat third grade. For these exemptions, there are no further intervention requirements that have to be met. If you think that one of these exemptions applies to your child, please check with your child's teacher and make sure that you are on the same page. If one of the exemptions I just talked about doesn't apply to your child, there are other pathways for your child to move forward to fourth grade. These pathways are different depending on whether your child scores below or approaching on the TCAP test. For a student who scores below on the TCAP test, the student must meet two requirements to go on to fourth grade. The student must attend summer learning camp, maintain 90% attendance at the camp, and show adequate growth on the post-test at the end of camp. The student must also receive a specific tutoring service during the entirety of their fourth grade year. In our school district, we will provide this tutoring to all of our students who score below during the school day, free of charge to parents. For a student who scores approaching on the TCAP test, there are several more options and more flexibility around the pathway to be promoted to fourth grade. One option is a parent appeal. On May 30th, the parent appeal option will open. If a parent appeal is granted, the student doesn't have to do anything else to be promoted to fourth grade. The Tennessee Department of Education has told us that a parent appeal will be granted for a student that scores approaching if the student received above the 40th percentile on their spring universal reading screener. In Jefferson County, our schools will be reaching out to parents to let them know if their child scores above the 40th percentile. We will help parents complete the form as well. We believe this will be a good option for a lot of our students and parents. A parent appeal will also be granted if a catastrophic situation occurs in the student's life in the days leading up to the TCAP test. Examples of a catastrophic situation include, but are not limited to, a death in the immediate family, loss of a family home, or a significant medical diagnosis. Besides a parent appeal, there are more options for a student who scores approaching to move on to fourth grade. While a student that scores below would have to do both summer learning camp and fourth grade tutoring, a student that scores approaching would need to complete one or the other. Remember that if a student chooses the summer learning camp option, the student will need to maintain 90% attendance and show adequate growth on the post-test at the end of camp. Just like fourth grade tutoring for students that score below, fourth grade tutoring for students that score approaching will take place during the school day and will be provided free of charge to parents. I also want to mention that there will be a retest opportunity for any student that scores below or approaching on TCAP. The retest opportunity will take place in May. and we will keep you informed of the dates that the retest will be offered in Jefferson County Schools. Be aware that we are thinking that most students will have a better chance of getting a parent appeal approved for scoring at or above the 40th percentile on the Spring Reading Universal Screener than scoring proficient on the TCAP retest opportunity. We realize the exemptions and options are complicated. Remember, we are committed to helping every student grow academically. We'll work with you to find the best plan for your child to go on to 4th grade.